Episode 4 of In the Club is here. Everything you want to know about GCU Club Sports, but we're afraid to ask. And we are going to talk today to the ultimate Lope at GCU. This is a lady who played on the volleyball court for GCU and then became the longest tenured head coach in their history, over 20 years at the NCAA level for the GCU Lopes volleyball team. And now we are so proud that she is beginning her 5th year overall, her 4th full season as the head coach and director of volleyball operations for the GCU Club Volleyball programs, that being Kristine Naber. And Chris, I know you blush whenever I start talking about all the accolades. That's not where I wanted to go with this at all. The one thing that I think I want to start with, though, Chris, is you've got so much experience. You've seen GCU from so many different angles, and you were asked 5 years ago, can you come do club sports? Was your first question, how do I do this, or how do I adjust? What was the biggest adjustment you had to make?
You know what? I had a lot of questions when Mark Nelson contacted me, and I had been away from the university for about 1.5 years. And so he contacted me and said, hey, this is kind of what we're starting again. We'd like you to head it. How do you feel about that? My question was, where do I start, I guess? Do you have a program? Do you have a place to work out? Where would we work out? Do we have balls? And so my mind started just kind of spinning as far as, okay, what kind of gear, what kind of athletes do I have? How do I get them? Can I recruit? I was so used to, for so many years, following all these NCAA guidelines. I really found out that it was kind of nice on the club side because you have no rules. And so you can recruit, you don't have the restrictions that you have necessarily on the NCAA side. And so that part was easier. And then a lot of it is just word of mouth. The club sports, club athletes, and we have, a range of 60 girls in the program right now on the women's side, but we have National Player of the Year all the way down to someone that potentially maybe doesn't even know how to pass. And so, our challenge every day is to make each one of those girls feel like they belong, feel like they're a part of our family, part of our club, part of our program. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. And then be able to challenge those that have had more experience, that have a better IQ, or maybe a more experienced IQ in the game. And so I think the trickiness of all of that when Mark approached me was, what kind of athletes? I'm used to working with a higher level athlete that's been trained. What kind of athletes am I working with? And I was pleasantly surprised with, I came in the spring, and that was their competition season. And I came in and there were about 25 girls. And I was pretty surprised with, the level that we had, and kind of where we've been able to take the program since then.
Well, and you also kind of talked about that you've got over 60 kids annually every year, but when you came in, that you just had a bunch of girls that really, wanted some leadership and needed some leadership. And what I also think is special about the club volleyball program is that you really had a core group, that they were the ones who really kind of got it organized. And instead of them saying, well, we started this, there wasn't any resistance. Talk about how you were able to kind of fall in and really get in sync with people like Olivia Brunt and some of the other people that helped organize this.
Well, Olivia Brunt, who was our National Player of the Year 2 years ago, our nationals were canceled this year, but 2 years ago,
and you haven't forgotten that.
No, and I tried so hard to talk you into letting us go, and no one else would have been there, but we would have been. But she was in our program for 4 years and finished out this year, and she was such a mainstay, and just being able to build a great culture, and then the other girls along with her, but that have been in the program. When I came in that spring, and they had already practiced for a good 2-3 months. My question, I didn't want to come in and just take control and lead. I wanted to lead, but I also understand that club sports is you want the students to be involved and get what they want out of it, with some direction along the way. And coming probably from the NCAA side, and that's been my profession for so long as coaching, is I still had expectations. I still have guidelines that I need you to follow. But a lot of it was, hey, what do you guys want out of this? And then along the way, they find out, oh, okay, I kind of like your way a little bit more. I kind of like discipline. I kind of like rules. So it wasn't, I realized it wasn't me coming in and saying, hey, there's a new leader in town. That's not going to work. But over the course of that year and the next year, I think they figured out, my best interest was for them, but then they learned how to trust me and understand. And I think, my past it kind of speaks for itself. I know what I'm talking about. I know how to do things, but also they needed to trust me and know that, hey, we're in this together. But she's going to lead it. So I had a pretty easy job though. The girls were good.
I think though, if somebody is coming out of high school or even, they're already at GCU or they're transferring and they don't necessarily want to be on the NCAA level and they're thinking about club sports, but then they see, wait a minute, Kristine Naber, 2 decades of coaching at the NCAA level, and maybe they're daunted. How do you kind of tell them that, the whole purpose of this is, as you said, it's what you want to get out of it, not what I as the coach want to get out of it. How do you kind of get that message across to them?
Well, I think the girls in the program, you let them speak. And, I do these informational calls, the Zoom calls every week for any incoming student athletes that are interested in our program. And so previous to the calls, I sent out about 3,000 emails saying, hey, here's what our program's about. I have some of the girls that have been in the program for a couple years. I have them come on the calls, and then the incoming students can ask the returning students questions. And I can answer those questions, but sometimes coaches are going to answer however they feel like you're supposed to answer, but student athletes are going to answer honestly. And so I think some of that, like, you put yourself out there at times.
That can be
You're
a
like,
little scary.
oh my gosh, yeah, I hope they answer it the way they're supposed to. But in the last 3 weeks that I've had girls on the calls, they have done an amazing job, and they're representing the program, the university, all of that. And just the foundation of our program, they've done a really nice job. So I think we let the student athletes speak.
And when we talk about the student athletes and the student leaders, kind of becoming empowered, you are the women's club volleyball coach, but you're also overseeing all of the club volleyball operations. And when you look at men's club volleyball and now beach club volleyball, you look at people like Trent Bruns, who oversees the men's, and Cammie Dickerson, who oversees beach. I mean, that's got to be awfully gratifying to you to see them take the reins and do what they do.
Well, I think as soon as you said I oversee, I'm the director of those programs, my first thought was, okay, what's he going to ask? How do I answer that? But my answer to anything would be, put good people at the top to lead your programs, and you're going to have success. And so I think, having Trent, having Cammie, with their background, with their knowledge, with I think just a support for GCU. I mean, both of them were student athletes here, and so that's huge. And to be able to tell them, yeah, I was here and I played for the NCAA side, or I played for the club side, whichever side you play for, but they have an interest and they're invested in the university. And so we have really good people that are in charge of the programs.
And if you want to kind of experience some of that, either on the club women's indoor volleyball or the club men's indoor volleyball, or going outdoors for beach volleyball, there are the ways that you can get involved on your screen, whether it be via Twitter or Instagram. They all have Twitter and Instagram, but they also have pages on our website, and you see the website address right there. Kristine Naber, thanks so much for being a part of this, and we will see you next time on the next edition of In the Club.
Thanks, Jim.